The stars above Earth looked peaceful that morning, but Jake Morrison knew better. He stood at the giant window of Luna Station, watching space with tired eyes. For 3 days now, the alien fleet had been getting closer to their solar system. 200 ships from 6 different alien races, all coming to force humanity into submission. Jake took a sip of his coffee and checked his watch. The fleet would reach Earth's outer defenses in less than 12 hours. Behind him, the command center buzzed with quiet activity. Officers moved between stations, checking systems and preparing for what everyone knew was coming. Lieutenant Katie Sullivan walked up to him with a data pad in her hands. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and serious eyes that had seen too much in recent months. "Admiral, the alien fleet just sent another message. They want us to respond within the hour." Jake nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Galactic Council always gave ultimatums before they attacked. They liked to pretend they were civilized even when they were about to destroy entire worlds. "Put it through to the main screen." The holographic projector in the center of the command room flickered to life. The image that appeared made several officers step back. High Counselor Vextar was not pleasant to look at. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, with gray skin that looked like old leather. 4 yellow eyes stared out from his elongated skull, and his mouth was full of sharp teeth that clicked when he spoke. "Humans of the third planet," Vextar's voice was deep and harsh, like gravel being crushed. "Your species has ignored the will of the Galactic Council for 300 years. You have refused to join our civilization. You have rejected our laws. You have maintained your primitive borders and your foolish ideas about independence." Jake crossed his arms and listened. He had heard versions of this speech before, from different alien ambassadors who had visited Earth over the centuries. They all said the same things. Humanity was backward. Humanity was stubborn. Humanity needed to be guided by their betters. "We have been patient with your kind," the alien continued. "We have offered you chances to join us peacefully. We have tried to educate you about your place in the galaxy. But our patience has limits." On the screen, Vextar moved closer to the camera. His 4 eyes seemed to stare directly at Jake. "You have 1 rotation of your planet to surrender unconditionally. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your leaders will be replaced with council advisors. Your population will be relocated to colony worlds where you can be properly supervised and educated." Several officers in the command center shifted uncomfortably. The aliens were talking about enslaving the entire human race. Jake kept his face calm, but inside he felt a cold anger building. "Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force," Vextar said. "Our fleet carries weapons that can turn your planet into ash. Our shields can stop any primitive weapons you might use against us. Surrender now, and your species will be allowed to live as productive members of galactic society. Refuse, and face extinction." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. Katie looked at Jake with worried eyes. "Sir, what do we tell them?" Jake turned away from the window and walked to his command chair. Around him, dozens of officers waited for his orders. These men and women had trained their entire lives for this moment. Earth's military had been preparing for this day since the first alien contact over a century ago. "Open a channel to General Parker," Jake said. Lisa Parker's face appeared on one of the side screens. She was in her underground command bunker somewhere beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by banks of computers and communication equipment. Lisa was older than Jake, maybe 55, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. "I saw the transmission," Lisa said before Jake could speak. "They're really doing it this time." "Looks that way," Jake replied. "Are our people ready?" Lisa nodded. "All defense platforms are online. The fleet commanders are standing by. Deep system assets are in position." She paused and looked directly at Jake through the screen. "Jake, are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." Jake understood what she meant. For 3 centuries, Earth had played the part of the backward human world. They had let the aliens think they were primitive and weak. They had hidden their real capabilities behind a mask of simple technology and peaceful intentions. Today that mask would come off. "They made the choice for us," Jake said quietly. "Send the response." Katie's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. The transmission array on Luna Station powered up, sending humanity's answer back to the alien fleet. Jake had written the message himself, keeping it short and simple. "High Counselor Vextar and the Galactic Council fleet, Earth has received your ultimatum. After careful consideration, we respectfully decline your terms. We will not surrender our independence, our freedom, or our right to exist as we choose. If you wish to test our resolve, you are welcome to try." The message ended there. No threats, no boasting, just a simple statement of fact. Jake knew it would confuse the aliens. They expected humans to either surrender in fear or make desperate threats they could not back up. They did not expect calm defiance. "Sir," called out Commander Ryan Blake from the tactical station, "the alien fleet is changing formation. They're moving into attack positions." Jake was not surprised. The Galactic Council had come here expecting easy victory. Their intelligence report said humanity still used chemical rockets and kinetic weapons. They thought human ships were slow and primitive. They believed Earth's defenses were limited to simple missile systems and old-fashioned nuclear weapons. "Contact the asteroid belt mining stations," Jake ordered. "Tell them to prepare for emergency evacuation procedures." Katie looked confused. "Sir, there are no evacuation procedures for the mining stations." Jake smiled for the first time that day. "No, there aren't, but the aliens don't know that." Around the command center, officers began to understand what was happening. The mining stations in the asteroid belt were not really mining stations. The scientific research facilities on the moons of Jupiter were not really research facilities. Even Luna Station itself was not what it appeared to be. "Admiral," Katie said softly, "should I activate the deep system protocols?" "Not yet," Jake replied. "Let them come closer first. Let them think they understand what they're facing." On the main screen, the alien fleet continued its approach. 200 ships, each one larger and more advanced than anything humanity was supposed to possess. The Zilani had contributed their plasma weapon technology. The Korath had provided shield generators that could supposedly stop any human weapon. The ancient Vex had added their reality-bending faster-than-light drives. Jake watched them come and felt no fear. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that a species capable of surviving on Earth, of fighting its way to the top of the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, would be easy to defeat. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "All stations, stand ready," Jake announced. "It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." The first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere just as the sun rose over the Pacific Ocean. Captain Ryan Blake watched them descend from his position in the hidden command bunker beneath the Mariana Trench. 30 alien vessels dropped through the clouds like burning meteors, their shields glowing bright blue against the morning sky. High Counselor Vextar observed the attack from his massive command ship in orbit. Everything was going exactly as planned. The primitive humans had launched their expected response just minutes ago, firing crude missiles from ground-based launchers scattered across their continents. The missiles exploded harmlessly against alien shields, just as the computer models had predicted. "Pitiful," muttered War Chief Gorthak of the Korath. The huge alien stood beside Vextar on the bridge, his thick arms crossed over his armored chest. "Their weapons are even weaker than our intelligence suggested. This will be over within the hour." Vextar nodded, already composing his victory report to the Council. The humans were putting up token resistance, firing their primitive weapons in desperate hope. It was almost sad to watch. Their missiles moved so slowly that alien point defense systems could destroy them easily. Their nuclear warheads were laughably weak compared to galactic standard plasma weapons. "Begin orbital bombardment of their major cities," Vextar ordered. "Target their government centers and military installations. Leave the rest intact for our occupation forces." The alien fleet moved into position above Earth's major population centers, plasma cannons charged with deadly energy. Shield generators hummed with power. Victory was certain. That was when the first human ship appeared. Captain Ryan Blake had been waiting for this moment his entire life. Hidden deep beneath the ocean floor, his ship had remained undetected for 3 years. The massive vessel was unlike anything in the galactic databases, built with technology the aliens could not imagine. "All stations, this is Blake," he spoke into his communication headset. "Time to introduce ourselves to our guests." The water above his ship began to glow with strange energy. Advanced cloaking systems that had hidden the vessel for years suddenly deactivated. What the aliens had thought was empty ocean began to shimmer and bend, reality itself seeming to twist. Then the EDS, Retribution, rose from the depths. The ship that emerged was 2 miles long and bristled with weapons that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about human technology. Where their vessels were smooth curves and flowing organic lines, This was all sharp angles and brutal efficiency. Massive gun barrels ran along its sides like the spines of some prehistoric monster. "Contact," called out Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez from the sensor station. "Alien Vanguard is directly above us, range 30,000 feet and closing." Ryan smiled grimly. The aliens had no idea what they were about to face. For 3 centuries, humanity had studied every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. They had taken the best ideas from 6 different species and improved on all of them. But more importantly, they had developed weapons that followed human thinking, not alien assumptions. "Main guns, prepare to fire," Ryan ordered. The Retribution's primary weapons were not energy-based like alien systems. They were something far more devastating, something the aliens would never see coming. Magnetic acceleration tubes ran the entire length of the ship, capable of launching projectiles at speeds that approached the velocity of light. "Itself. Firing solution locked," reported Weapons Officer Danny Kim. "Tungsten penetrators loaded and ready." Fire. The first salvo tore through the alien formation like invisible death. Solid metal rods, each one weighing several tons, accelerated to near light speed by magnetic fields, stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The kinetic energy was beyond anything the alien shields were designed to handle. 3 alien ships simply vanished, torn apart so quickly that their crews never knew what hit them. 2 more spun out of control, their hulls breached in dozens of places. The remaining ships of the Vanguard scattered in panic, their sensors unable to even detect what was killing them. High Counselor Vextar stared at his tactical display in confusion. Half his advance force had just been destroyed by weapons that his instruments could not identify. The attacking ship appeared to be firing solid projectiles, but that was impossible. No kinetic weapon could penetrate modern galactic shields. "Analysis," he demanded. "Unknown, Counselor," replied his tactical officer. "Sensors indicate the projectiles are simple metal rods, but their velocity readings must be in error. Nothing can accelerate solid matter to those speeds." Vextar's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans were using some kind of advanced technology disguised as primitive kinetics. It was clever, but it would not save them. "All ships concentrate fire on that vessel. Destroy it immediately." Dozens of alien ships turned their weapons toward the Retribution. Plasma beams and particle cannons fired in perfect coordination, enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. The energy weapon struck the human ship and exploded in brilliant flashes of light. When the light faded, the Retribution was still there, completely undamaged. Ryan Blake watched the alien attack with satisfaction. His ship's armor was not made from any material the aliens had ever encountered. Human engineers had spent decades developing metamaterials that could absorb and redirect energy weapons. The alien plasma simply flowed around the hull like water around a stone. "Their turn is over," Ryan said calmly. "Return fire. All weapons." The Retribution unleashed its full arsenal. Kinetic projectiles streaked through space faster than alien sensors could track. Point defense systems tried desperately to intercept the incoming rounds, but there were too many and they moved too fast. The tungsten rods punched through alien hulls like bullets through paper. In orbit, Vextar watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically destroyed. Ships that had dominated the galaxy for centuries were being torn apart by weapons that should not exist. The humans were not using energy shields to defend themselves, but some kind of advanced armor that made their attacks useless. "Retreat to safe distance," he ordered frantically. "All ships withdraw immediately." But the human ship was not finished. As the alien fleet tried to escape, more weapons appeared on the Retribution's hull. Missile launchers opened like flowers blooming in deadly beauty. But these were not the crude rockets the aliens had expected. These missiles moved with their own intelligence, chasing down fleeing ships with relentless precision. Dr. Helen Carter watched the battle from her laboratory beneath the Sahara Desert. She had spent 20 years studying alien technology, learning how their weapons and defenses worked. Every system had weaknesses, and she had found them all. The kinetic weapons were just the beginning of what humanity had prepared. "Carter to Blake," she said into her communicator. "How are our new toys performing?" "Better than expected," Ryan's voice came back. "Their shields can't handle the kinetic energy transfer. We're punching through their defenses like they're made of tissue paper." "Good. Remember, this is just the opening act. We need to make them think this is all we have," Ryan understood. The Retribution was impressive, but it was far from humanity's most advanced weapon. The real surprises were still hidden in the outer system, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. As the surviving alien ships retreated beyond Earth's moon, Ryan allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had spent centuries believing that humanity was weak and primitive. They had made the classic mistake of judging a species by its apparent technology instead of its actual capabilities. Now they were beginning to learn the truth. Earth had not been hiding its weakness all these years. It had been hiding its strength, and this was only the beginning of what humanity could do when pushed too far. The alien fleet regrouped beyond Earth's moon, their commanders in heated discussion aboard High Counselor Vextar's flagship. The bridge was filled with angry voices as representatives from 6 different species argued about what had just happened. The humans had destroyed half their advance force with weapons that defied every known law of galactic warfare. War Chief Gorthak slammed his massive fist on the tactical display. This is unacceptable. One primitive human ship cannot defeat our entire vanguard. There must be some explanation. Admiral Pristel of the Zolani hissed through her breathing slits. The humans are using some form of advanced kinetic acceleration. Our shields were not designed to handle solid projectiles moving at such velocities. Then we adapt, Vextar said coldly. Reconfigure all shields for kinetic impact absorption. Prepare for full orbital bombardment. If we cannot defeat their ships in direct combat, we will simply destroy their planet from a safe distance. But even as the alien commanders made their plans, proximity alarms began sounding throughout the fleet. Ships were emerging from the asteroid belt, dozens of them, all broadcasting human identification codes. What the aliens had thought was empty space suddenly filled with vessels they had never seen before. Commander Beth Rodriguez led the first wave aboard the EDS Vengeance. Her ship was smaller than the Retribution, but faster and more maneuverable. Behind her came Captain Alex Turner in the EDS Defiance, followed by dozens more vessels that seemed to materialize from nowhere. All ships, this is Rodriguez, she spoke into her communication system. Execute attack pattern Delta. Show them what real space combat looks like. The human fleet moved like nothing the aliens had ever encountered. Instead of forming traditional battle lines, the ships spread out in 3 dimensions, using their superior acceleration to strike from multiple angles at once. They attacked in coordinated swarms, hitting a target with overwhelming force before vanishing again into the void. Vextar watched in growing horror as his carefully organized fleet was torn apart by tactics that made no sense. How are they moving so fast? Our drives are the most advanced in the galaxy. His science officer studied the sensor readings with confusion. Counselor, their propulsion systems appear to be some form of controlled fusion ramjet, but the efficiency readings are impossible. They are achieving acceleration rates that should tear their ships apart. What the aliens did not understand was that human ships were built differently from the beginning. While alien vessels were designed for the comfort of their crews, human ships were built for war. The crews wore acceleration suits that allowed them to survive forces that would kill any other species. Human engineering had always focused on pushing limits rather than accepting them. Admiral Jake Morrison coordinated the battle from Luna Station, watching as his hidden fleet emerged from concealment throughout the solar system. Execute Protocol 7, he ordered quietly. Lieutenant Katie Sullivan nodded and sent the coded signal across the system. Throughout the asteroid belt and the outer planets, installations that had masqueraded as mining operations and research stations for decades suddenly revealed their true purpose. What the aliens had assumed were simple asteroid mining. Platforms opened like mechanical flowers, revealing massive railgun batteries that could strike targets anywhere in the solar system. Scientific stations on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn activated weapon systems that had been hidden beneath fake laboratory equipment. The battle became a 3-dimensional nightmare for the alien fleet. Human ships attacked from every direction, while hidden weapons platforms provided supporting fire from impossible distances. The aliens found themselves caught in a carefully planned trap that had been decades in the making. Impossible, whispered Vextar, as another of his heavy cruisers exploded under concentrated human fire. How long have they been planning this? The answer was over a century. Ever since first contact, Earth's military planners had known this day would come. They had studied every alien species, learned their strengths and weaknesses, and prepared accordingly. While the galaxy saw humanity as primitive and peaceful, Earth's best minds had been designing the most devastating military force the universe had ever seen. General Lisa Parker monitored the engagement from her command bunker, watching as alien ships tried desperately to escape the killing zone around Earth. The enemy fleet was breaking apart under pressure they had never imagined possible. Parker to all unit commanders. She spoke into her headset. Begin Phase 2 operations. Time to show them our real reach. Across the solar system, launch bays that had been hidden in the shadows of asteroids and moons opened to reveal something even more terrifying than warships. Colony vessels. Massive ships designed to carry everything needed to establish human settlements anywhere in the galaxy began emerging from concealment. Captain Danny Wilson commanded the lead colony ship from his position aboard the EDS Pioneer. His vessel was 10 times larger than the biggest human warship, packed with everything needed to build entire cities on alien worlds. Behind him, dozens more colony ships prepared for immediate departure. All colonial units, this is Wilson, he announced. We have green light for expansion operations. Begin immediate deployment to target systems. The alien commanders finally understood what they were really facing. This was not just a defensive action by a primitive species. This was the opening move of a carefully planned invasion. Humanity had not been hiding on Earth because they were weak. They had been preparing to take over the entire galaxy. They planned this, Gorthek said in stunned realization. The humans have been preparing for galactic conquest for generations. Vextar's 4 eyes stared at the tactical display as human colony ships began, accelerating toward every major alien system simultaneously. Ships that moved faster than anything in the galaxy were already halfway to the nearest alien worlds. At this rate, human colonies would be established throughout Council space within months. Send emergency transmissions to all Council worlds, he ordered frantically. Warn them that human ships are coming. Tell them to prepare their defenses. But it was already too late. The human ships were using technology that the aliens could barely comprehend. Their faster-than-light drives were not the exotic matter systems that alien science relied on. They were something completely different, something based on human understanding of physics that had developed along entirely different lines. Dr. Sam Mitchell watched the deployment from his laboratory on Ceres. The dwarf planet was not really a research station as the aliens believed. It was the central command hub for humanity's expansion fleet, hidden in plain sight at the edge of the solar system. Mitchell to Morrison, he said into his communicator. All systems are green. The colony ships are performing perfectly. Good, came Jake's reply. How long until we have established footholds in the major systems? At current acceleration, our advanced teams will reach the Korath homeworld in 6 days. The Zelani system in 8. We will have colonies in place before their warning messages even arrive. The alien fleet tried to pursue the departing human ships, but it was hopeless. The colony vessels were not only faster than anything the galaxy had ever built, they were also heavily armed. Any alien ship that got too close was destroyed by weapons that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. As the last human ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, the surviving members of the alien fleet were left staring at empty space. In less than 12 hours, they had gone from confident conquerors to the scattered remains of a broken force. High Counselor Vexitar realized that everything the Galactic Council believed about humanity had been wrong. Earth was not a primitive backwater world. It was the home of the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever produced, and now that species was no longer hiding. High Counselor Vextar sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the reports flooding in from across the galaxy. His fleet was in ruins with less than half his ships still capable of fighting. The humans had not just defeated them, they had made it look easy. Worse, emergency signals were already reaching him from the Council homeworlds. Counselor, his communications officer said with shaking hands, we are receiving distress calls from the Korath system. Human ships have appeared there and are establishing some kind of base on their outer moon. Vextar's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. That is impossible. It would take weeks to reach the Korath system, even with our fastest ships. The reports are confirmed, sir. Similar messages are coming in from 6 other systems. The humans are already there. On Earth, Dr. Helen Carter stood in her laboratory deep beneath the Sahara Desert, surrounded by decades of research that had led to this moment. She had spent her entire career studying the alien species that dominated the galaxy, and what she had discovered would change everything. Carter to Morrison, she spoke into her communication device. Jake, we need to talk. There are things about our enemies that even our own people do not understand. Admiral Morrison's voice came back immediately. What kind of things, Helen? The kind that explain why we are winning so easily. The aliens are not just technologically inferior to us. They are biologically limited in ways they do not even realize. Helen had been Earth's lead xenobiology expert since first contact over a century ago. Every alien prisoner, every captured technology sample, every diplomatic exchange had provided her with data about the species that ruled the galaxy. What she had learned was both fascinating and terrifying. Every alien race in the galaxy evolved on worlds that were paradise. Compared to Earth, she explained to the small group of military leaders who had gathered in her lab. The Zilani homeworld has low gravity and a stable climate. The Korath evolved on a high-gravity world, but one with no weather patterns and abundant food. The Vex came from a world with perfect atmospheric conditions. General Lisa Parker studied the data on Helen's screens with growing understanding. You are saying they never had to struggle for survival the way we did? Exactly. Earth is what galactic scientists call a death world. Crushing gravity, violent weather, dangerous radiation, an ecosystem where everything is trying to kill everything else. Most species would have gone extinct on our planet within generations. But humanity had not gone extinct. They had thrived in conditions that would destroy any other known species. The constant struggle for survival had created something unique in the galaxy. A species that was adaptable, aggressive, and utterly ruthless when threatened. Look at their military tactics, Helen continued, bringing up battle recordings from the recent engagement. They fight in rigid formations because that is how their minds work. They evolved on stable worlds where following patterns meant survival. We evolved on a world where adaptation meant survival. The implications were staggering. Every alien species had specialized to survive on their particular world, but in doing so they had limited themselves. Humanity was the only species that had developed on a world chaotic enough to require constant adaptation. There is more, Helen said grimly. I have been analyzing their psychology for decades. They understand dominance and submission, but they do not understand what we call desperate determination. When an alien species faces overwhelming odds, they surrender or flee. We fight harder. Colonel Troy Hamilton listened to this briefing from his command center on Ceres, where he oversaw humanity's deep space operations. His ships were already establishing human colonies in systems that had been alien territory just days ago. The speed of human expansion was shocking even to him. Dr. Carter, Troy said through the communication link, are you saying we are essentially a different kind of life form than everything else in the galaxy? That is exactly what I am saying. We are not just another intelligent species. We are apex predators that developed intelligence while remaining predators. Every other species in the galaxy became civilized by giving up their aggressive instincts. We became civilized while keeping ours. This was the secret that Earth had hidden for 3 centuries. Humanity had not been trying to appear peaceful because they were weak. They had been trying to appear peaceful because they knew what would happen if the galaxy understood what they really were. The aliens made one critical mistake, Helen explained. They judged us by our art, our poetry, our diplomatic efforts. They saw our cultural achievements and assumed we were soft. They did not understand that humans can create beautiful music and also be perfectly willing to destroy entire civilizations if necessary. President Maria Gonzalez received this briefing in her secure bunker beneath Washington, where she had been coordinating Earth's response to the alien invasion. As the elected leader of humanity, she understood the weight of what Dr. Carter was telling them. Helen, what you are describing makes us sound like monsters, Maria said quietly. No, Madam President, it makes us sound like survivors. The galaxy has been ruled by species that never had to face real hardship. They conquered weaker civilizations through superior technology, not through superior will. They have never faced an opponent that refuses to give up. The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the briefing. Humanity was not just winning because of superior technology. They were winning because they were fundamentally different from every other species in the galaxy. Our ships are faster because we build them to withstand forces that would kill alien crews, Helen continued. Our weapons are more effective because we design them to win wars, not just look impressive. Our tactics work because we think like predators, not like civilized beings trying to minimize conflict. Captain Danny Wilson reported in from the EDS Pioneer as his colony ship approached the Zilani homeworld. Command, We are in position to establish our first colony. The local defense fleet is keeping their distance, but they are not attacking. Understood, Pioneer, came Admiral Morrison's reply. Begin colonization procedures. Show them what human expansion really looks like. The alien governments across the galaxy were beginning to realize the scope of the threat they faced. This was not a war between different civilizations using similar technology and tactics. This was something entirely new. A species that played by completely different rules. High Counselor Vextar received reports from his science teams trying to analyze captured human technology. Counselor, we cannot understand how their systems work. Their power sources use principles our physicists say are impossible. Their material science is centuries ahead of ours. But it was not centuries of development that gave humanity the advantage. It was thousands of years of surviving on a world that demanded constant innovation or death. While alien species had perfected existing technologies, humanity had been forced to invent entirely new approaches to survive. Sir, the communications officer said nervously, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. It is addressed to the entire galaxy. Vextar nodded grimly. He suspected he knew what this message would contain. The humans were about to announce their victory to the universe. But he doubted it would be the kind of victory speech the galaxy expected. The transmission began, and President Gonzalez appeared on screens throughout alien space. Her voice was calm, almost conversational, but there was something in her eyes that made even hardened alien warriors step back from their displays. People of the galaxy, she began, you came to our world believing we were weak. You believed we were primitive. You were wrong on both counts. We are not weak and we are not primitive. We are something you have never encountered before. We are what happens when intelligence evolves on a world that tries to kill everything that lives on it. President Maria Gonzalez stood before the camera in her underground bunker, knowing that her words would reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. Behind her, displays showed the progress of human colony ships spreading across alien space like seeds, carried by an unstoppable wind. The age of alien dominance was ending and a new era was about to begin. For 3 centuries, you have ruled the galaxy through fear and technological superiority, she continued, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's hidden anger. You enslaved species, destroyed civilizations, and called it order. You believed that because you had better weapons and faster ships, you had the right to control everyone else. High Counselor Vexitar watched the transmission from his damaged bridge, his 4 eyes fixed on the human leader's face. There was something in her expression that he had never seen before in any intelligent species. A cold determination that spoke of absolute certainty. But you made one critical mistake, Maria said, stepping closer to the camera. You assumed that all intelligent life would develop the same way you did. You believed that becoming civilized meant becoming weak. You forgot that not all worlds are as gentle as yours. Throughout the galaxy, alien leaders gathered around communication screens, watching as the human president explained truths that would reshape their understanding of life itself. On dozens of worlds, panic was already spreading as human colony ships established footholds in systems that had been alien territory for thousands of years. Earth is what your scientists call a death world, Maria explained calmly. Our gravity crushes bones. Our weather destroys cities. Our sun burns skin. Our ecosystem is a constant war where everything tries to kill everything else. Most species would have died on our planet within a generation. The alien commanders began to understand why their defeat had been so complete. They had not been fighting another civilized species using similar technology. They had been fighting something that had evolved under conditions that would destroy everything they knew. We did not become weak when we became intelligent, Maria continued. We became more dangerous. We learned to work together not out of kindness but out of necessity. We developed science not to understand the universe, but to survive in a universe that wanted us dead. Captain Danny Wilson reported from the newly established human colony on the edge of Zalani space. His teams had constructed a fully functional military base in less than 48 hours, using prefabricated modules that could turn any planet into a fortress within days. Colony 1 is operational. He transmitted back to Earth. Local defense forces are maintaining distance but not attacking. I think they are beginning to understand what they are facing. The speed of human expansion was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. While alien colonies took years to establish and required massive supply lines, human colonies were self-sufficient from the moment they landed. Every human settlement was also a military base. Every colonist also a soldier. Admiral Jake Morrison coordinated the expansion from Luna Station, watching as red dots appeared on the galactic map to mark new human territories. The transformation was happening faster than even he had predicted. Morrison to all colony commanders, he announced. Begin Phase 3 operations. Establish contact with local governments and offer terms. The terms were simple, though the aliens did not yet understand their true meaning. Any species that accepted human leadership would be allowed to govern themselves under human oversight. Any species that resisted would face the full might of humanity's war machine. General Lisa Parker monitored these negotiations from her command bunker, knowing that most alien governments would choose submission over destruction. They had already seen what happened to those who fought against humanity. Parker to Carter, she said into her communicator. Helen, how are the aliens responding to our expansion? Dr. Helen Carter checked her analysis reports from research stations throughout human territory. Most species are surrendering without a fight. They understand that resistance is pointless. A few are trying to organize counterattacks, but their hearts are not in it. The psychological warfare was as effective as the military conquest. Alien species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia suddenly found themselves facing an opponent that refused to follow any known rules of civilized conflict. Humans did not negotiate from positions of weakness. They did not accept partial victories. They fought until their enemies surrendered completely or ceased to exist. There is something else, Helen added. Several alien scientists are requesting permission to study human biology. They want to understand how we evolved into what we are. This was perhaps the most disturbing aspect of humanity's victory. The aliens were not just being defeated. They were being fascinated by their conquerors. Species that had never faced real adversity were drawn to the idea of understanding beings who had been forged by constant struggle. President Gonzalez concluded her address to the galaxy with words that would be remembered for centuries. We did not ask for this war. We would have been content to remain on our single world, developing our civilization in peace. But you forced our hand. You threatened our existence. You awakened something that had been sleeping. On his flagship, High Counselor Vextar realized that the Galactic Council's greatest mistake had been believing their own propaganda. They had convinced themselves that they were the pinnacle of evolution, the natural rulers of the galaxy. They had never considered that there might be forms of intelligence more dangerous than their own. We accept the surrender of any species that wishes to live in peace under human authority, Maria announced. We offer partnership to those who prove themselves worthy, but we will not tolerate resistance from those who refuse to accept the new reality. The transformation of galactic civilization was swift and complete. Within 6 months, human colonies existed in every major system. Within a year, the Galactic Council was dissolved and replaced by the Human Colonial Authority. Species that had ruled for millennia found themselves taking orders from beings they had once considered primitive. But humanity's victory was not built on cruelty alone. Those alien species that accepted human leadership discovered that their new rulers could be generous allies. Human technology improved alien lives. Human medicine extended alien lifespans. Human engineering solved problems that had plagued alien worlds for centuries. The key was understanding that humans thought differently about power and responsibility. Where alien rulers had seen dominance as an end in itself, humans saw it as a tool for achieving larger goals. They wanted to build something greater than what had existed before. Colonel Troy Hamilton established the first human command academy on a captured alien world, where promising members of various species could learn human military tactics and philosophy. The most successful students were those who could adapt to humanity's aggressive approach to problem-solving. Hamilton to Earth Command, he reported after the first graduation ceremony. The integration program is working. We have alien officers who think like humans now. They understand that sometimes you have to break things to fix them. Dr. Sam Mitchell worked with alien scientists to develop hybrid technologies that combine the best of human and alien innovation. The results exceeded everyone's expectations, producing ships that could cross the galaxy in days and weapons that could reshape planets. The aliens have good ideas, he explained to his research team. They just never had the motivation to push those ideas to their limits. They were too comfortable, too safe. We show them what their technology can really do when survival depends on it. As the second year of human dominance began, even former enemies had to admit that the galaxy was better under human rule. Wars between alien species had ended. Trade flourished under human protection. Scientific advancement accelerated beyond anything previously achieved. President Gonzalez addressed the galaxy again on the anniversary of the first battle. We told you that we were different from other species. We told you that we came from a world that made us dangerous, but we never told you the most important thing about humanity. She paused, looking directly into the camera with the same intensity that had marked her first speech. We do not just survive. We make everything around us stronger. That is what it means to come from a death world. We turn challenges into opportunities. We turn enemies into allies. We turn chaos into order. The galaxy had learned that when pushed too far, Earth would reveal its true power. But more importantly, it had learned that this power was not just destructive. It was transformative, capable of creating something better than what had existed before. Humanity had come home to the stars, and the universe would never be the same.